This segment of HPJ Talk is brought to you by ASA Agri-Services Agency, leaders in agricultural insurance. When your operation depends on weather windows, market swings, and everything in between, you need coverage that's built for agriculture and backed by people who get it. From crop and farm insurance to risk management strategies that help protect your bottom line, ASA Agri-Services Agency is there with trusted guidance and dependable service. ASA Agri-Services Agency, leaders in agricultural insurance. And now here's HPJ Talk.
Welcome to the HPJ Talk podcast series. Today I'm visiting with Buck Wehrbein, and we're here to kind of talk about the upcoming NCBA Convention, which he's very much a part of the planning, and also some of the issues that are ahead for ranchers as they kind of look to their 2025 and 2026 and maybe what's a little bit ahead. So welcome, Buck.
Thank you, Dave.
Okay, well, we'll start with some questions here. Where did your journey to the cattle industry begin?
Born on a small farm in eastern Nebraska. My grandfather from Germany was a dairy farmer, and my other grandfather was a cattle feeder, and we fed cattle, and so been around the bovine my entire life. And my wife and I moved our family to Texas in 1979, went to work at a big feedlot down there, and grew up in the commercial cattle feeding business down there. We lived down there 20 years and then came back home to eastern Nebraska in 1999 and been at Champion Feeders Mead Cattle Company here in Mead, Nebraska for that 7 years, whatever that is now. So 20 years in Texas and 27 years back. We like to say we have dual citizenship in Texas and Nebraska.
Maybe briefly, like what is the difference between the two states as far as you can see?
A lot more smaller, what we call farmer feeders up here, and a lot more big commercial yards down there, yards 50,000 or more. And still a lot of smaller feed yards up here.
Yeah, very good. Very good. What kind of inspired you to become a leader in the industry? You have plenty on your plate anyway, but what made you kind of be inspired to do what you are doing now?
When we were living in Texas, got involved with Texas Cattle Feeders and was invited to attend the Young Cattlemen's Conference down there as the Texas Cattle Feeders. And that kind of got me into the association volunteer work, and had some really good mentors like Richard McDonald. And I got really interested. I think my grandfather was the cattle feeder, eldered our church and things like that. And I think I got the desire and willingness to serve from him. I got that gene from him maybe. And so I love this business and wanted to give back to it. So was involved down there. And when we came back, I got involved with Nebraska Cattlemen and then the Nebraska Beef Council on the checkoff side, and was immersed in that for 8 years. And then moved over and got into policy with NCBA and ended up getting in the officer chain. And here I am. But it's been a gratifying run volunteering and serving this great business that I just love.
Yeah. Probably a follow-up question would be, is that's probably one thing you encourage younger producers. We're all young, of course, but you probably encourage them to, even if they're small, to be active and do those things. It makes a difference.
Absolutely. Of course, I believe in associations, whether it's the state affiliates or NCBA, that we need representation in government and especially in Washington. And a lot of things have come out of Washington that they thought were good things, to help people and ended up being catastrophic. And so we need representation there. We need somebody watching over things. The thing about the cattle business is you're out here working in it and you got your head down and you can't pay attention to all that stuff too. And so having somebody there on the job all the time looking out for our interests is, I think, critically important.
Admired cattle producers because, they're really the people that they don't really receive a lot of, there's pretty much free market. You have to buy your grain on the free market. You have to market your cattle on the free market. There's not a lot of what they might call security blankets. You're making your own decisions and you have to carry those things through without a lot of intervention. And so that's something I think it's to be admired.
It's something that we all enjoy. What keeps me in this business, I think, is I love the animals themselves. I like being around them, and I like the people, all the people from customers to our employees to cattle buyers. I like the people, and then I like the game, what you're talking about. It's a big, big challenge. For the producer out there, the cow-calf guy, he's got a lot of fixed costs that he can't change, and he lives and dies with the cattle market. We're enjoying unbelievably good markets right now, which the cow-calf sector really needed, and I'm grateful for that. And you take margin players like us, we buy cattle, sell cattle, and then go buy them again. So we're making a lot of money on what we're selling, and then we're giving most of it back when we replace them. But it's an interesting time. I don't know anybody that ever dreamed we'd have prices like this, and the quality that we've got in our product that our producers have managed to do over the years and improve is just nothing short of stunning.
During getting ready for the convention, when you took the mantle not so long ago and how it's changed so much in the past year, what is your kind of your reflection of your years as the president?
It's funny, the fall before I became president in San Antonio last February, I was thinking the market looked good, and I thought, man, this might be kind of a boring year. And I'm a boring guy. I'm okay with boring. And then Screwworm fell out of the sky, literally. And so that got our attention. And then we have the election, and President Trump is elected. And we came out with a farm bill that was one of the best farm bills we've ever had for the cattle business. And we're well pleased with that. And then before you know it, they get like 85 to 95% of that codified in the big, beautiful bill. And that was one of the big aims we had and goals for the year, was getting those things done and a farm bill done. Don't have the farm bill, but we got all those things that we wanted done in it. And those things can't be undone without Congress doing it. So that was a huge win. And we know that the screwworm is making its way north, and we're going to have to deal with that, but we are, and we know how to deal with it. And Secretary Rollins has done a good job of getting money to get another facility in place in South Texas and so forth. So USDA's worked well for us, and a lot of wins in that first half of the year. And now we've had some challenges with President Trump wanting to lower beef prices, which has hurt us, but our market's really resilient and is coming back. And we recognize that the reason our market is high is because people like our product and want to buy it. There's other choices out there, and they continue to buy our product at these prices. And so we're very, very proud of that, and a lot of work by the checkoff and things over the years, and better genetics, better animal husbandry, and technology that we have all contributed to this high quality product that we're producing.
There's a lot, it was not all that long ago, they said, well, people will never pay that. But when you produce the quality, it's amazing what they will buy. And I think of, like you and many others in the industry have long advocated that we have got to make sure we have a product that the consumer is willing to pay pay it. And if they're willing to pay it and enjoy it, and there's a profit motive with it too. And so, that's something I've noticed over maybe in the last 15 years.
Amen, brother. And that is due to hard work for decades, for generations of improving genetics and things that our producers have done. They have earned this. And it's also interesting, yes, beef prices are high, but when you compare it to overall inflation and so forth, it hasn't changed much how long it takes a person to work to buy a pound of ground beef. That's an interesting number that CattleFax has, and it really hasn't changed much for the last 10 years or so. It takes about as much time of work to buy a pound of ground beef as it ever has. So even though it feels like it's really high, when you kind of peel the onion back, it's better than you might think.
Need to take a look at that. I think that's very fascinating. I did not really think about that too much. When you go to the store, you buy what you need, and you don't really think about it too much. But I think that's a point very well taken. That's good that they are on that. That's great.
Yep,
What do you want to
absolutely.
produce?
Absolutely.
Sure. So what do you want producers maybe to know about the NCBA convention, that from your perspective, that you would hope that they would, ranchers, whether they're first timers or veterans, what do you hope they'll get out of it?
One of the great things about convention is getting to see people and reacquaint and meet new people and see the products that are out there. And there's always new products coming along. So the trade show and all of those people that support us, it is a great big part of it. Seeing people and I'll see a lot of cattle feeding customers and people I buy cattle from and so forth there. And that's all great. And seeing how this organization works. We are truly a grassroots organization. I like to say that we all talk about the world being run by those who show up. And we also know that with a lot of organizations, that's really not who runs it, the people that show up. It's people behind the scenes, and then the people that show up just kind of rubber stamp it. That is not the case with NCBA. Our policy starts at county affiliates and state affiliates and works its way up through the system and is codified through the summer meetings to become policy in our policy book. And let me tell you, we don't do anything. Our staff or leadership does nothing that's not in our policy book. And so you can be confident that it's truly grassroots. And on the checkoff side, it is too. It's all producers that decide how the checkoff money gets spent. So it's well represented, and people that volunteer to do this do a really, really good job, and they're serious about it. So reacquainting with people and meeting new people and seeing products that are out there and how this organization works is well worth the time. And this year, first time, if you're registered, you get to go to Cattlemen's College, and that's a lot of good learning that goes on there.
Things I found fascinating myself just in following your organization as a comparison to maybe other organizations. You have them at all levels. We're both old enough to remember that you couldn't get cow-calf guys or, feeders or, and all those guys in the same room. And the NCBA has done a nice job, I think, of including all the sectors, recognizing there's always going to be differences in opinions on how to run each business. But the common goal is to make sure everybody is profitable and can continue to succeed and sustain the industry.
That's well said, David. And there's always somebody that's feeling like maybe they got left out, maybe they didn't have enough say and so forth. But overall, the entire business is well represented and everybody's out for the same thing, great beef demand and great prices. And so we're all pointing in the same direction, even as cattle people famously don't always agree. Occasionally it feels like if we don't have somebody else to fight with, we'll fight among ourselves. But truly, it's overall pretty unified.
That's great. What other challenges do you see coming up in the industry itself? Obviously, we talked about the screwworm and where we're at with some of that. That's something that, and certainly you and I talked maybe a month ago about some of the meat packing capacity and things like that. Are we you think maybe we'll head into a period where we're more stable now? And, certainly the screwworm first and then maybe a little bit about packing plant capacity.
Yeah, screwworm, like I said, we know what to do. We know how to eradicate it. It's going to take money. The people along the border are going to get drugged through a knothole, doctoring calves. That is going to happen, I think. But maybe we can deal with it and get it behind us relatively quickly. And people are ready. And so that's the good thing about that. I would say that there's a lot of good things with this administration, like on environmental things and Endangered Species Act. But the wolves and black vulture and things like that are really hard on a lot of people. We got to continue to work and encourage and help the agencies in the federal government to deal with those things. Because golly Moses, you have a wolf kill now. You lose one today with what these cattle are worth, you want to have a funeral. And so that will continue till the Lord comes back, I'm sure, but we need to continue to make inroads, which of course with this administration is much, much better than what we've had in the past. President Trump has been able to undo a lot of bad things done by the previous administration, and we're grateful for that.
Packing plant capacity, I think, does it look like we're stabilizing? You feel pretty good about where we're at now?
Well, we're fortunate that the herd number is such that we have the capacity still, even losing that plant and a half, you might say, to deal with it, but you have to get the cattle where they need to go. There's capacity for it, but it's not right there. And this is going to be difficult and hard on the people near the Lexington plant and then the Amarillo plant to deal with that change. And so there's going to be some extra freight and things like that, but there is enough capacity, and that is good. We also have that new plant in North Platte, Nebraska. There's one being built in Amarillo. American Foods has a new plant in Missouri. And so those things are going to help also when they're online and going at capacity to offset that. So the plant in Amarillo is going to take away a shift, which of course you can put that back on quicker than you can reopen a plant. And so it's going to be disruptive, and it's going to really be hard on the people close to those plants. But as I said, the good news is it's not like now we're under capacity in the plant. We have enough capacity to process all the cattle. This is not like COVID when we couldn't get them all processed.
Right now, the herds are out 28 million, I guess, or whatever the numbers, whichever number sector you want to use. But when do you kind of realistically see an expansion of the herd that everybody could kind of wrap their arms around? It's more maybe in a philosophical, but I know it takes several years, to get those. Once you have the mamas and deliver those calves, it's still several years out. So you think it'll be a while yet?
Yes, I do. We came back really quick back in 2015, but interest was low, cattle weren't this high, and there was the impetus to keep cattle back, which there is now, but my goodness sake, what they bring, it's hard to not take them to town, and the interest rate makes it more difficult with cattle this high. There's a lot of interest per head, and so I think it's going to take time. Obviously, the western states, the true ranching country, what if you have a ranch, you have grass. That's what you have to sell. And so they will rebuild as soon as they can. There's other parts of the country, and we're blessed with being able to raise cattle. The bovine can make a living everywhere. And I'm afraid that there could be some people in the Southeast and so forth that don't come back, small herds and things like that. So this could be interesting. I do think it's going to be a longer drawn out affair. But remember, we've got a 43, 45, whatever it is, low on head count, but our beef production is only down 2.5%. So we don't have to get the number back up to what it used to be to have the same amount of beef production. So that will cut down a little bit on the time it takes.
Any advice for ranchers? My next to last question, but any advice you have for the ranchers out there, probably as they kind of go through their budget sheets and as they look to 2026, maybe 2027 even, you probably do yourself over a several multi-year process, but what's your kind of a general advice for no matter what part of the sector they're in?
The first advice I would give, enjoy this. I mean, it's fun to get good prices. Enjoy it. Don't let yourself get so pessimistic and scared of the future that you don't enjoy it. And obviously, everybody knows if you can pay down debt, that's a good thing, and improve your production processes and things like that. That's a great thing. But then be prepared, because nothing lasts forever, and this won't either. And we all know it. If you've had very many wet saddle blankets on you, then you know that this won't last forever, and be prepared for that. But at least getting healed up financially puts you in a good position to do that.
Well, this is my last question, and I'll go for what is your favorite recipe with beef?
I eat my 12 servings of beef a week, just force myself. And I suppose my favorite is a New York strip, medium rare, with French fries, and a close second to that is, I think our best tasting steak is a sirloin, actually. And now that I'm getting a little long in the tooth, I can't eat a 14-ounce steak anymore. So I might eat a 6-ounce sirloin, and that's pretty darn good too.
Yeah, we did actually get some good news from, the dietary guidelines where they really, instead of trying to maybe hit on beef a little bit, they've actually encouraged people to look at protein in their diet. Hopefully that'll be some good news out there.
That was a
Long
huge
term.
win for us. We are so pleased at that, and so pleased to see what Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has done in this role, which I'll be honest with you, I was a little scared by that announcement. And then he cooks his fries, turkey, and beef tallow, and I thought, wow, I'm starting to like this guy. And then he puts out a deal, saying jerky, 2 ingredients, salt and beef. He said, we need to eat more beef jerky. So, I mean, he's a good friend to us, and I'm very grateful for that.
Yes, me too. All righty. Any other comments from you, Buck? I took care of my questions, but anyway, anything else from you?
Well, I really appreciate you being on here, and anybody listening, seriously consider going to Nashville and see how this organization works and runs, and how it truly is transparent. You can come and watch and see how this work gets done, and see the people that's doing it that are just like you, and you can be proud of this organization and support it. We need as many members as we can get, of course. We've got over 25,000, but what are there, 700,000 or whatever producers? So we could use lots more members, and would like you that are watching it to think about that.
Well, thank you, Buck. We appreciate all you've done in the leadership of the beef industry and wish you the very best at your convention and safe travels. And thank you for all you do.
Well, thank you, and I appreciate those kind words. I've been blessed more than anyone else and been happy to be trusted to do it.
You bet. All righty. Well, thanks, everybody. Take care.
Thank you.